I'm going to go ahead and call this meeting to order at 5:34 p.m. First, we will be taking the roll. So once we call out your name, please just say present or yes.
Samantha Beck. Okay. Pascal Bouchard, that's me. Lex Burson. Excellent. Noah Champion. Jason Chapman. Jackson Clark. Jackson Clark. On his way. Okay. Helena Colbert. Zane Davis. Nicole Dominiak. Sebastian Filner. Nathan Foster. Chase Freeman. Katie Gillian, or Kate, sorry, how do you say your last name? Gilland. Hannah Henry. Okay. Caitlin Hoheimer. Homeyer, thank you. Sorry. Kayla Holloway. Claire Hook. Here. Okay. Bowen Lee. Kieran Mangla. Okay. Omar. Joy Mersman. Okay. Maeve Nagel Frazzle. Okay, excellent. Zinkley Ramirez. Robert Rampani. Madison Shore. Francesco Slataper.
Slataper, present.
Slataper, thank you. Emily Speciale. Sage Thompson. Anthony Wong. Robert Ward. Emma Wren. Okay, that's all.
That was a little close, so let me just verify that we actually have quorum. And we do. Okay. So now it is time to adopt the agenda. However, yes, Senator Wren.
Senator Wren, Linguistics. I'd like to move to amend the agenda to allow the Dean of the Graduate School to speak.
All right. Is there a second? Senator Rampani seconded. Are there any objections? All right. Seeing none. Dean Beth.
Thank you. All right, thank you for allowing me to be here tonight. So this was on my calendar, and my main goal is just to be here with you. So I don't have any formal remarks or slides. I mean, I could guess about the things that are on your mind, but that's not necessarily helpful. So I am happy to just have a few minutes, however much time is appropriate, and you can give me the boot whenever, if that, if needed. But I just want to be available to you, and I am happy to take any questions that you might have, to which I may or may not know the answer, but if I don't, I will just share that and see what I can do to help. So does anyone want to bring up a topic or ask a question? And I will see what I can do to help. Yes.
Samantha Beck, pathology. How is the search for the provost going?
I don't know anything official. I do see smiling faces on, people who have served on the search committee. So that's good, but I don't know anything else. But I always like a smile, so. Yes.
Emma Ren, linguistics. I know there were some changes to the amount of money the graduate school will have available for helping meet the out-of-state student portion of tuition. Do you anticipate at this time that by having everyone who is actually a resident of North Carolina just apply for residency and get residency, that will be resolved? Or are there going to be, do you anticipate at this time there will be students who will need to find some other way to make up that difference of tuition?
All of the above, but yes, let me explain. So from the system office, we were informed of a 7.2% reduction in the tuition remission budget that our campus would receive. And when we did the math, it turned out that we could make up that amount of money by not having expenditures for students who had been here as a domestic student eligible to become a resident of the state longer than a year. So meaning that for individuals who are not eligible to become a resident of the state, we had enough money last year to cover them as planned. So that means international students and students who have been here for less than a year. So it just turned out that that math worked, that we can cover this current fiscal year cut, by students who are eligible to become residents of the state doing so. And, we sent 1 million emails out, had it in newsletters all over the place, that as long as information was submitted by October the 2nd, then, things could happen, become resident for the fall term. Because there's 45 days grace. It used to be that you had to submit your materials within, I don't know, a couple days, less than a week of the beginning of a term, which was, very difficult for lots of obvious reasons of just people's logistics. But now there's a little bit more time. So for those who are eligible to become a resident of the state of North Carolina and haven't done so yet this term, there's always next term, same thing. So really the thing to do is to just go now to begin that process if you've not already begun the process. And by that, I mean, some of what's needed for the state to determine that someone should be a resident is that you've done things a year ahead, right? So driver's license, et cetera. One of the reasons that people get denied is if they are still being claimed as a dependent on their parents' taxes. So, that's just a common thing. So the graduate school does not make the determination of residency. We provide a lot of support and guidance as to how to most efficiently do this, what the process is, but those decisions are made outside of the university. And that's a little bit of a change. So yeah, so the hope is that while we've been in the past able to be more generous in that regard, we're not able to do that now. And we hope that by taking this new policy approach, we can keep the priority on incoming students and international students who are not eligible to be a resident of the state. And obviously, if you are a state resident, then you don't get hit with that extra bill. Yeah. I should, just a point of clarification, we actually are anticipating this cut. It has come down from the system office, but we don't actually have a budget for the current fiscal year that we're in now because our state has not passed a budget. We don't expect them to pass a budget in 2025. We don't expect them, honestly, to pass a budget at all for this fiscal year, which has rarely, but it has happened in the past. But both the House and the Senate had the same cut across the system for this particular line item. So we have every reason to think that whenever eventually a budget gets passed, that, this will come to fruition. So
Hi.
hopefully that was helpful.
Zlata per economics. Can you hear me? Yeah,
I heard a
perfect.
voice. Oh, yes.
Hi.
Hi.
So at the cost of being a bit curt, but what is the, how to say, why is the tuition remission budget binding? So the graduate school decides the tuition that then pays back to itself. It seems a bit an accounting game.
Yeah, so So your question is about the tuition remission specifically? Yeah. Essentially, the state of North Carolina, which provides the dollars specifically for this purpose of making up the difference between the resident and the non-resident tuition. The state of North Carolina provides that money because somehow that differential has to be accounted for. And the state recognizes the importance, the value of graduate students, because this is different for undergrad. This is a graduate student thing. The state of North Carolina understands the importance of graduate students coming here from all around the world, international students, and students who come here from outside of our state, but who are still residents, citizens of the United States. People who come here from out of state, but who are residents or who are citizens of our country can become residents of our state legally for tuition purposes. And therefore, the idea is that's what should happen. But that's not the case for international students. But the reason that this particular line item in the state budget exists is because the state values and appreciates all of the many reasons that it's important for international students, in particular, to be able to come here to UNC Chapel Hill for graduate study. So it's a little bit odd. It's not actually money that moves, it's an accounting to recognize that in some way, through the tuition remission, that differential has been covered.
I fully understand what is considered like I'm an international, so I understand who can be a resident and who not. My question was more like, does the graduate school have latitude on the other on the denominator? Let's put it this way: can the graduate school change graduate tuition, or is that binding?
No,
Is it-
the graduate school does not set tuition. The tuition is set through a process in which our university level Office of Finance and Operations goes through a process to determine whether we wish to propose an increase in tuition for residents or for non-residents through our Board of Trustees, Board of Governors. It goes through a whole governance process. So the graduate school does not set tuition. We participate in conversation about it as others in the, on campus do, but we don't set tuition.
Okay, so you are one of the stakeholders that participate, and in any case, changing the tuition would be a lengthy process. It would not be a realistic solution to a budget shortfall.
Yeah, it's an annual discussion, just like the budget is managed on an annual basis. So it would be part of an annual conversation. So it is a lengthy process because we have to be extremely thoughtful about it because, the tuition frankly pays a lot of bills. I mean, so we get allocation from the state, to do what we do on campus. We also get revenue from tuition. I mean, that money's turned around for hiring faculty and all sorts of other things. And the same with the tuition differential between in-state and out-of-state. There's obviously other revenue streams too, whether that's from various grants, whether it's from philanthropy, a few other sources. But those are real dollars that we use to, run our classrooms and to do what we do. Yeah.
Senator Henry, I just want to make sure I have the details completely correct. So you're saying grad students who aren't classified as residents will be responsible for the fee? Is that right?
It's not a fee. It's a tuition. It's not a fee. Okay, so there's the fee, the tuition for in-state students, and then there's a higher tuition for students who are not residents of the state of North Carolina. So for students who are not residents of the state of North Carolina, that is simply the cost of tuition. And for a good number of students, but not all students, because we're limited by budget, that additional amount can be covered by this tuition remission budget. And when you think about it, we have a limited amount of money for this purpose. And so what we want to do is distribute that money in the most fair way possible. So the first sort of take on what is fair is to say, well, who's eligible to become a resident of the state? Because that's an option for people. For international students, for purposes of tuition, that's actually not an option. So as a matter of fairness, international students, you know, are the students that we want to prioritize because they don't have the option of becoming a resident of the state of North Carolina as a way to cover that. Citizens of the country do have that option, but it takes a year plus just to get residency. And so in that first year, similarly, you know, you're stuck with it. So that's another group of students that we prioritize because they don't have the option otherwise. After that, if you're eligible to become a resident of the state, then that's the way to not be faced with that extra amount because you're not charged that extra amount if you're a resident of the state. Now, we also know that people for any number of reasons might choose to not become a resident of the state, which of course is a choice. But this would be part of that decision process for an individual. Because if you don't choose to become a resident of the state, then you'll be faced with that extra bill. Now, to the extent that there's enough budget, it might get covered. To the extent that your PI, say you're funded by a grant that your primary mentor has submitted, receives, they're funded. So especially in the School of Medicine and in natural sciences in the college and across campus, we encourage faculty to include in their budget for grants that they're submitting the cost of tuition, resident and non-resident, if they're planning on funding a student who's not a resident of the state. Include that in your grant budget. Grants are competitive. Sometimes you get your grant and you get a budget cut, has to be managed. But that's another way that this gets covered is through grants. And that's not all that uncommon either. So that's kind of the way it works. And given budget constraints, you know, it's a matter of trying to use the limited dollars in as fair a manner possible. And the grad school does that in collaboration with the college and with, you know, with the deans of all the schools, you know, reflecting what each school thinks will be their need to cover students as best they're able in the most fair way possible. And it's a limited budget, so there's only so much we can do because there's a limited amount that the state, you know, provides in terms of this remission. Does that help? And
Yeah, no, it does. I just wanted clarification because after going through RDS, we try as hard as we can to get residency, but sometimes it gets turned back. So I don't want it to seem like it's a choice for everyone when even it's a black box for RDS and everyone in our department goes through this process and we know you might get denied the first time. So it just doesn't seem super fair for the grad students when we're trying to take on.
It's really hard. I can say, like, I know one department that did spectacularly well, way higher this year is chemistry. Unbelievable turnaround. Because for a few years now, we actually, like my unit meets with every school every year. I mean, we talk to each other all the time, but we have a point in time each year where we share data and discuss. One of the things we have is a dashboard. So each program, each department can look and see for eligible students, residency eligible students, what proportion have become residents by the end of their first year, their third term, their fourth term, and drill down who are the students to see if there's ways that, you know, we can provide support or help in getting residency. So you're right, sometimes students are denied at first, which is all the reason to start this process as soon as you can, because then if you're denied, you still have time because of this new 45-day leeway at the beginning of a term to resubmit, to correct whatever it is that might need to be corrected, and to look at the criteria as soon as possible, because you have to have some evidence, for a year. And, it's not, I know it's not a great situation. And I know that the RDS system can be cumbersome. They're better than they used to be in terms of saying why an application was turned back. The grad school has a lot of resources to try to help with this, because we want to be as helpful as we can be in this effort to try to be as fair as we can be in a not great situation, because we got hit with this 7.2% cut. So, I would say if you're having trouble pounding through the RDS system, which is also not our favorite system either, do feel free to contact, and you can email gradadmissions.edu, one string there, to get to some help, to try to get approval for these submissions. But I do appreciate your comment, because you're right, and I don't mean to sound like it's all on you, because it's not a great system. And sometimes the denials are mysterious, but usually we can help figure out what the problem is and try to help solve it and move it forward. So I thank you for bringing that up. I appreciate it.
Senator Mersman from Anthropology. I'm not sure if this is an issue you would have been part of the conversation in, but I've been looking for clarification on this. Can you offer any insight to the insurance requirement changes coming up for international students in January 2026?
Yeah, for insurance, I don't know. But I can find out. For health insurance, you mean?
Health insurance,
Yeah,
yes.
so-
The new requirements that international students
yeah.
must enroll in Student Blue.
Right. Yeah, I
Uh,
don't. I would have to find out. I don't know enough about that. I
Okay.
mean, I'm tracking what's happening with, so, we're in the season of rulemaking for one big beautiful bill with regard to student loans and all those kinds of things. The insurance piece is just not something I've kept up with enough to be able to give you anything useful. So.
Fair enough. I'll continue my fact-finding mission. Thank you so much.
But I can find out. Do you know Ken Pittman? Yeah, he runs Campus Health, and he is our expert. I mean, he's excellent. Ken Pittman, Pittman, Campus Health. He's the director of Campus Health, and he is the expert on insurance, health insurance. So he would be by far, the source for that question. Yeah. Leah.
Point of clarification, I have an update on that for you.
You have an update?
Yes, I've been working with Ken on it to
Okay.
get him to tell all the students about it because they haven't put out any information. And so we've been emailing today. He finally emailed me back about it.
Okay. And I don't know if that's also caught up in rulemaking in DC right now or not, but probably.
It's something that's going to happen in January. It's just that the school didn't tell any students about it.
Okay, then. All right, I'm glad that you're following up on that. Yeah, and I will too, because now, I need to know more about that. So, thank you. All right, any other questions?
Yeah, Slata again. Not to belabor the point, but approximately right now, how many students are not covered by tuition remission?
I'm sorry.
How many students cover their own tuition?
Cover their own tuition? It's a pretty small proportion for doctoral students. For master's students, most cover their own. For doctoral students, it's less than a third. I think the last time I looked, I'd have to check. It's about 37 or 38% that are funded through the state. It's about the same, maybe a little bit more by grants. Then there's fellowships that are philanthropy based, and some self-pay. But most are funded either by the state or by grants, and some philanthropy for tuition, stipend as well. For doctoral students, again, the master's degree students, You know, certainly some are funded, but most are not.
When you said they were an important source of revenue, talking only about doctoral students, you were, in any case, this source of revenue is at most the 1/3 that's self-pay, right?
And I would have to, it varies some year to year, and I can email back information to Leah with the specific data if you'd like.
Thank you.
Okay, I'll do that. Yeah. Any other questions? Okay. So you know where to find me. You know, go to the UNC Graduate School or check in with Leah. If you have any questions, let me know. You're welcome to just email me directly. If there's a topic that you'd like to have some discussion about at some future date, I'm happy to come back. And, you know, certainly if there are topics that I don't have enough information about, you know, in this kind of a session or off the top of my head, I'm more than happy to go and find it for you, because really this is why I'm here, to do all that we can to support your success while you're here. And also to provide as much help as we can for you to have great positions and a great path after you graduate. So however we can be helpful, let us know. How many of you have heard of the Graduate Student Experience Initiative? Yay, a few, yes, yeah. So that's getting some traction. We actually have made some good progress with that. That's something that, you know, it's really important that every single working group in that effort has student voices, which is the case. That is the way we run it. That's really important to us. So, so again, let me know if there's anything that I can do to be of help in discussion here or in any other way. And I thank you for allowing me the time at your meeting this evening. So thank you.
All right, thank you for that, Dean Beth Meyer Davis. I did notice a few people walked in after we called roll. If you recently came in, could you raise your hand for me? Okay, there's 3 of you. 4. Okay. Jackson Clark. Yep. And then Helena Colbert. Is it Colbert or Colbert? Colbert. Okay. Zane Davis. Nicole Dominiak. Okay. Oh yeah, you're right. She did email me about that. And then Anthony Wong. And I think that's everyone who walked in, right? Cool. So now we have an attendance of 27, exactly what we had last time. All right. I believe then some of you were not here during the last meeting. So any senator who was not in attendance at the last meeting, please rise. I'm going to be administering the oath of office to you. Yeah, you're gonna have to take the oath. There we go. All right, just raise your right hand and repeat after me. I do solemnly swear or affirm that I will support and defend the Constitution of the student body of the, that's a mouthful, of the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill. You can read it off. That I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same. That I take this obligation freely without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion. And that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties of the office on which I am about to enter. All right, thank you. You've been sworn in. You may be seated. All right, then without further ado, I'm going to share, actually, we can just go forward with the agenda as it's written. Okay, so next we have the reading and the approval of minutes. We would normally not actually have to read the minutes out loud. However, I did not receive them in enough time to send them to the entire Senate. So I will ask you all to bear with me as I read the minutes from last meeting out loud. All right. 39th day of the 56th legislative session, October 11, 2025. The Senate of the Graduate and Professional Student Body met at 5:37 p.m. on October 11, 2025. Called to order by Speaker Morebi. Roll was called and a quorum was present. Speaker Morebi presided over the oath of office of the senators-elect. The approval of the journal was waived by unanimous consent. The speaker moved to recognize the student body president to give a report to the Senate. The student body president was not present and gave no report. The Senate heard reports from the following officers: the president of the graduate and professional student body, the acting vice president of the graduate and professional student body, the acting treasurer of the graduate and professional student body, and the acting chief of staff of the graduate and professional student body. A motion by Senator Beck to limit speeches and public comment to 3 minutes per speaker was approved by unanimous consent. Public comment was given by Avery Baker. The Senate reviewed the standing rules proposed by Speaker Morebi. A motion by Senator Beck to add the chair of the Student Organizational Awards Committee and the chair of the Senate Travel Awards Committee under item E of Rule 11 was approved by unanimous consent. The rules were suspended by unanimous consent while Speaker Morebi gave an overview of the student government. Election of the President Pro Tempore of the Senate was conducted. Senator Bouchard nominated themselves, seconded by Senator Mersman. No other nominations were made, and Senator Bouchard was elected as the President Pro Tempore by unanimous consent. Election of members to the Senate Rules and Judiciary Committee was conducted. Senator Freeman nominated himself, seconded by Senator Mersman. Senator Freeman was elected to the Senate Rules and Judiciary Committee by unanimous consent. Senator Rampani nominated himself to the Senate Rules and Judiciary Committee, seconded by Senator Wren. Senator Rampani was elected to the Senate Rules and Judiciary Committee by unanimous consent. Senator Beck moved to elect members to Senator Beck moved to elect member to, wait, what does this say? This is wrong. Never mind. Oh, yeah. Senator Beck moved to elect members to lay the election of members of the Rules and Judiciary Committee on the table, approved by unanimous consent. Election of the State of Graduate and Professional Students Committee was conducted. Senator Mersman moved to nominate Senator Clark for the committee. Senator Clark was elected by unanimous consent. Senator Rampani moved to suspend the rules to elect members to committees via roll call. This motion was approved by unanimous consent. Speaker Morebi proceeded to elect senators via roll call. Senator Mersman nominated herself to the Senate Finance Committee, elected by unanimous consent. Senator Wang nominated himself to the Senate Travel Awards Committee, elected by unanimous consent. Senator Lee nominated himself to the Senate Finance Committee, elected by unanimous consent. Senator Sladaper nominated himself to the Student Organizations Award Committee, unanimous consent. Senator Henry nominated herself to the Senate Travel Awards Committee, again, unanimous consent. Senator Foster, just assume unanimous consent for all of these. Senator Foster nominated himself to the SOGAPS Committee. Senator Mangla nominated himself to the Senate Oversight and Accountability Committee. Senator Ramirez nominated herself to the Student Organization Awards Committee. Senator Speciali nominated herself to the Senate Travel Awards Committee. Senator Filner nominated himself to the Senate Travel Awards Committee. Senator Homeyer nominated herself to the Student Organization Awards Committee. Senator Nagel-Frazel nominated herself to the SOGAPS Committee. Senator Burson nominated herself to the Student Organization Awards Committee. Senator Beck nominated herself to the Student Organization Awards Committee. Senator Shore nominated herself to the Senate Travel Awards Committee. Senator Thompson nominated herself to the SOGAPS Committee. Senator Dominiak nominated herself to the Senate Oversight and Accountability Committee. Senator Chapman nominated himself to the Senate Finance Committee. Senator Davis nominated himself to the Senate Finance Committee. Senator Champion nominated himself to the Senate Finance Committee. Senator Gilliland nominated herself to the SOGAPS Committee. Senator Holloway nominated herself to the Senate Oversight and Accountability Committee. Senator Holloway nominated herself to the Senate Oversight and Accountability Committee. Oh, that's in there twice. I'm gonna just delete that real quick. Senator Rampani moved to end suspension of the standing rules, approved by unanimous consent. Election of members of the Select Committee on the Code of Permanent Laws was conducted. Senator Beck moved to postpone the election of members indefinitely, approved by unanimous consent. Speaker Morebi vacated the chair of for the consideration of the election of graduate and professional student representatives to the Joint Governance Council, and the chair was temporarily occupied by Senator Wren. Senator Moretti nominated himself to the Joint Governance Council. Senator Freeman nominated himself to the Joint Governance Council. Senator Burson nominated herself to the Joint Governance Council, and Senator Homeyer nominated herself to the Joint Governance Council. Speaker Moretti, Senator Freeman, Senator Burson, and Senator Homeyer were elected as representatives to the Joint Governance Council by unanimous consent. Speaker Moretti resumed the chair. A motion by Senator Beck to allow nominees slated for confirmation at this meeting be permitted to speak on their own behalf for 1 minute was adopted by unanimous consent. The Senate considered GPSR 56001, confirmation of Jaden Smith as Chief of Staff of the Graduate and Professional Student Body. Jaden Smith gave a 1 minute speech on his qualifications for office. There being no debate, the speaker put the question. The vote was taken by a show of hands, 26 aye, none nay, and the speaker abstained. The resolution was adopted. The Senate considered GPSR 56002, confirmation of Sayed Reza Darudian as treasurer of the Graduate and Professional Student Body. Sayed Reza Darudian gave a 1 minute speech on his qualifications for office. There being no debate, the speaker put the question. The vote was taken by show of hands, 25 ayes, none nay. The speaker and Senator Sladaper abstained. The resolution was adopted. The Senate considered GPSR 56003, confirmation of Cicely Zhao as Vice President of Communications. By unanimous consent, the Senate allowed the president of the Graduate and Professional Student Body to give a 1 minute speech on behalf of the appointee on her qualifications for office. There being no debate, the speaker put the question. The vote was taken by show of hands, 24 aye, none nay, and the speaker, Senator Burson, and Senator Rampani abstained. The resolution was adopted. Senate considered GPSR 56004, confirmation of Bex Nelson as chair of the Emergency Fund Selection Committee. Bex Nelson gave a 1 minute speech on her qualifications for office. There being no debate, the speaker put the question. The vote was taken by show of hands, 26 aye, none nay. Speaker abstained. The resolution was adopted. I'm almost done, I promise. The Senate considered GPSR 56005, confirmation of Dave Gandhi as Director of Data Collection and Assessment. Dave Gandhi gave a 1 minute speech on his qualifications for office. There being no debate, the speaker put the question. The vote was taken by show of hands, 26 ayes, none nay, and the speaker abstained. The resolution was adopted. The Senate considered GPSR 56006, confirmation of Hannah Friedman as Director of State and Federal Relations. Hannah Friedman gave a 1 minute speech on her qualifications for office. There being a debate, the speaker put the question. The vote was taken by show of hands, 26 aye, none nay, and the speaker abstained. The resolution was adopted. Notices and announcements were given. The Senate adjourned. Okay, at this time, are there any amendments to the journal / the minutes? Seeing none, is there a motion to approve the journal? All right, are there any objections? Is there a second? All right, Senator Wren seconded. All right, seeing no objections, the minutes are approved. In the future, to whoever is taking the minutes, please get them to me like 48 hours before the Senate. I do not want to do this again. That was, my throat hurts. All right, so now we move on to reports from officers of the Senate. The Speaker, I will go first. So it's our second official meeting. Most of your committees have now met. Most of you are in committee. I feel like we're still getting the hang of things, but things are going well. I am working on one of the main initiatives that I am working on that anyone is welcome to, if they're interested, to kind of work on with me, is effectively a full rewrite of the code, or to be called the graduate statutes. My main goals right now are Titles I, which are the general provision of the code, Title II, which is the entire legislative branch, and then Title VII, the elections title. So if anyone is interested in working with that or working on that with me or has any ideas, please do reach out. If there are any other Senate matters, I do not believe there are any other Senate matters that I would like to discuss. Next thing will be reports from the President Pro Tempore and also the committee chairs. Committee chairs, if you are putting forward bills or recommending bills this meeting, do bring them up in your reports. And I believe that's all I will have to tell you. All right, President Pro Tempore, do you have any updates? President Pro Tempore has no updates. Oh, hold on, my laptop is unplugged. All right, seeing no updates from the President Pro Temp, the chair of the Senate Finance Committee will now provide their update.
Senator Mersman from Anthropology, Chair of the Finance Committee. Senate Finance Committee met a few weeks ago. We discussed our obligations and looked over proposed fee amendments arising from the undergraduate government. We will be meeting again in the next 2 weeks to vote on that and bring it to the Senate at our next meeting. That concludes the updates.
All right. Thank you, Chair Mersman. Oh, one thing in my update that I did not tell you all, I have name placards for you all. They're actually printed, they're ready, but they're in my office. So they will be here for the next meeting, I promise. Next is the report from the Chair of the Senate Rules and Judiciary Committee. However, he is not here, so we will be skipping that. Following that is the report of the Chair of the Senate Oversight and Accountability Committee.
So far we have discussed and have interviewed a couple of people.
Okay, thank you. For those of you who didn't hear, because I don't think that microphone was working, the chair of the Oversight and Accountability Committee does plan on introducing extra bills and new business for this meeting. So right now the agenda does only have 2 bills, but there's about 9 more confirmations that we have to go through. So the chair is planning on introducing those. All right, next is a report of the chair of the State of the Graduate and Professional Students Committee.
Senator Thompson, we have our first meeting for the SOGAPS committee tomorrow at 7 p.m. and we'll be discussing the organization structure as well as updating the forms for the town hall meetings, as well as the workshop and funding and report. So we'll be working on that and we'll have some more updates for the next meeting.
All right, thank you, Chair Thompson. Next is the report of the chair of the Senate Travel Awards Committee.
Hello, Senator Filner, mathematics. Okay. We have not yet met as a committee, but we do have one planned now for Thursday at 5:30. Sorry. There is a bill on here that I believe is technically ours, but essentially inherited from the Summer Governance Committee or Summer Governance just generally. And that is for Cycle 1 awards for summer travel. I don't know if I should say more on that. I'm not necessarily prepared for this, but.
Oh, if you have, I mean, if you have more to say, go ahead, but there's no need to say more.
In that case, I don't think I shall say more, but thank you. Yeah.
All right, finally, a report from the chair of the Student Organizational Awards Committee.
Hi, Slataper here. We received 5 applications, of which we recommend you grant the full requested amount to 4 of them. And since we didn't award anything in September and October, as you know, the amount awarded will be generously below the below like our monthly budget, which will give us more latitude toward the end of the year to more elasticity to fund worth events. So it will be like one Thanksgiving lunch, one fundraiser. So the amount is substantial, almost $1,000, but we are confident it will prevent some future requests. So we see it as a bit of an investment, one network event and one annual conference. Both where we recommend are funded as they were both found in the interest of the graduate student body.
All right, thank you, Chair Slataper. All right, now we will move to reports from officials, and first is the report of the student body president.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me? Great. Got a couple updates for all of you. I know there were questions being asked about the provost search. Can't share much because of the NDA, but we are getting there. The committee continues its work, and we are in the process of working with the administration, the candidates. As you know, applications closed back in September, and the committee has met to go through applicants and go through all that process. So you should be able to hear fairly soon about the provost. But it has been a great national search. That is what I can say, and that I'm pretty confident saying it's being very transparent, and we've truly been able to interact with candidates in a fair process. So I've appreciated that. As you know, or you're probably seeing the TH, there's going to be significant changes to the student affairs and enrollment divisions here at the university. So Dr. James Orr came in first as Vice Provost of Undergraduate Student Success. Then they removed the undergraduate from his title, so now he's the Provost of just Student Success. And as you probably know, Amy Johnson, the Vice Chancellor for Student Affairs, will become a special advisor to him starting December 5th. And the Vice Provost for Enrollment will step down around Thanksgiving time. Those positions will likely not be filled, but rather they're going to restructure what the student experience, how the student experience is managed at Carolina, which has been a critical problem in the organizational chart of the university. So the whole goal is that we are able to, the whole goal of that is that when a student goes to someone, they have a problem, the university is able to redirect them to where they need to be redirected rather than just telling them. Right now, when you go to a the university, they tell you like, oh, we can't help you with that, figure out somewhere else. So what Dr. Orr wants to do is to create an office where you can go and say, hey, I have this problem, and they're able to take you to where you need to be. So Connect Carolina updates are actually going to be really helpful because there's going to be like some sort of case management side of it. So if you have a problem, whoever's helping you will be able to document that. And then if another unit at the university picks that up, they'll be able to like see what's happened before. So when you go to a doctor's appointment and they can see your history, that's what Dr. Orr and his team want to build. And we're really excited for that. I think that that's a big problem. Like when do I have a problem? You have to know the organizational chart of the university, and that's just way too complex for an average student. Yes.
From Anthropology. Can you speak a little more on that topic? Specifically, what is the timeline for this case management system in Connect Carolina, and also who will have access to this case management system at the administrative level?
So
wait, real quick. These are meant to be reports from the individuals. We totally can do a question and answer if the rest of the Senate would agree to suspend the rules for that. Are there any objections to suspend the rules to allow senators to ask the student body president questions? All right, go ahead. You're all good.
Yes, so Connect Carolina is going through a major development timeline for the next year and a half-ish. So what they're building is, along with the case management tool, by the start of the next academic year, they should be rolling out another feature also that when an undergraduate student comes in, it's sort of going to plan your degree for you. You're going to like say, I'm going to major in this and I'm going to major in that. And it's going to build a simple plan for your 4 years. That also goes back to the university wanting to know what the class demand is. You'll be able to say like in future semesters, I want to take this class. The university will pull that data to know what the expected class demand for future classes is. So, with enrollment growth, that's a big question. How do we truly fit the student needs? So that's going to be part of that. And the case management is also going to be part of that. Sort of like, the university knows that advising needs a lot of improvement. So by July of next year is when Dr. Orr wants to open that office that you just walk into and you say, hey, I have this problem, we'll redirect you places. So we're looking forward to that. I think that it's a really important thing because again, if you have a problem right now, you have to know the entire organizational chart. And usually you go and they tell you, go somewhere else, and no one really helps you get there. So I think that it was a great idea for the university to hire an outsider because he is making personal changes, but I think that they're very desperately needed in terms of restructuring. So that's for that. Yeah, of course. I think that there's been a big fear that we know it's coming, but tomorrow at the open session meetings of the Board of Trustees, we're going to get to hear more about the start of the conversation about the cut to low-performing academic programs by finance and operations. So as of now, the plan is to cut $2 million from low-performing programs. And nothing is solidified yet, but the university is going to start the evaluation of that. So that's going to be based on program activity, on instructional workload, on student demand, and a strategic context. And the university will start analyzing what programs will be part of those cuts. You know how the university is going through this major budget reduction strategy. And part of that is to cut some funding from low-performing academic programs and do an evaluation on centers and institutes for a reduction of $4.8 million in that regard. So there's not a solidified plan as to when this is going to take effect. I think that the university is still going to make the analysis, but it will be important, and I'll make sure to keep track as this academic year continues, because we'll probably start hearing more in the BOT about how this evaluation is going in the timeline. I know that the faculty, students have a lot of question about that. You know, we all knew kind of that goes next, looking into low-performing academic programs, and we're going to get to hear more about that from the Vice Chancellor of Finance and Operations. So I know last time when Leah presented at the BOT, the board was fairly receptive about plan for stipends increase. I'm meeting with the chair of the board hopefully tomorrow before the meeting, and I will ask him about that and what his thoughts are. They were a lot more receptive than the presentation at the same time last year. So I think that it's important to start talking with the board about what they propose we should be doing, and if the board could join in the advocacy for that. I know former chair Pryor was saying that, you know, if we want to be the world's first public university, we need to catch up to the other peers. So in my opinion, if we are increasing tuition to catch up to our peers, we should also increase the stipends to catch up to them. Out-of-state tuition, this is more undergrad, but out-of-state tuition will have another 10% increase likely next year. Was expected to be 7%, but tomorrow the presentation will hear a 10% proposed increase and a 3% undergraduate student increase tuition for next year as well. The Carolina Closet is underway. That's one of my biggest projects. We are meeting with some people on the graduate student side to talk about that, but we are raising funds. We have a 5-figure development fund right now that we've been able to start raising. We're collecting suits, and anyone with a one card is expected to be able to access this resource for suits, including graduate and professional students that we'll just be able to provide to students. And if something doesn't fit, we will have a partnership with a company that will make a tailored suit and deliver it to your house if that doesn't happen. So we're currently raising funds for that, and we're really grateful. The Board of Visitors has supported the project, and we have some donors we're talking to about that. Yes.
Can you hear me at this distance from the mic? Okay. Senator Wren, Linguistics. I was wondering, can you talk a little bit more about what that cutting of academic programs will look like? Is that going to be from our graduate student side, if you are already enrolled in a program, are you safe, or is there a possibility that your program will be cut out from under you?
That's a great question. Actually, let me take note of that. But can you repeat your question?
So thinking about the cutting of academic programs that's coming up, is that something where as graduate students, we should expect that since we are already enrolled in the university, we are safe, so to speak, our program will not be cut until we have graduated? Or is this something where we should be concerned that our program could be cut out from under us without us finishing our degree?
I'd like to offer a point of information on that. While I do not treat this as anything definitive, I will say that typically the catalog of university is often treated as a binding agreement between the university and its students. So as long as you matriculated in the year in which the catalog included your program, you will be able to finish your program. However, the university can discontinue accepting students for those programs once they release the new catalog, and they can, you know, completely terminate the program once the last student has graduated.
Yeah, so usually that's right. The university tends to make a commitment. So initially when the health equity and social justice concentration of Gillings was going to be cut, the university announced that was only for incoming students. So usually the university will not cut a program for students that are enrolled. There are two things that are kind of binding, which are your in-state tuition for undergraduates, for example, is binding for your 4 years. The same thing, if you come into a program, you're going to graduate. And it's the same with the changes to the merging of the data science and information science degrees, the university has made a commitment that no student that's enrolled in those programs right now will be affected in any way, or anything will change in that regard. So it's the same, when you come in undergraduate, you get a major. If the requirements change while you are enrolled, you're gonna be held accountable to the requirements when you came into the program. So usually that freezes over time. But that's a good question that I will raise tomorrow to the Vice Chancellor for Finance and Operations, and Leah should be able to relay that information back to you. But that's a great point. And any more questions about that? But yeah, so that should be all my updates. By the next meeting, I'll have more updates on the closet. We're really excited to keep working on that. And we're gonna make sure that it's a resource that can stay for years to come. And we can make sure that anyone has access to professional attire on campus. As of the change to the system policy for health insurance international students, the main argument the system has made is that the system is aiming to simplify the administrative process by eliminating how labor intensive it is to review and verify a lot of different private insurance plans. So whether an international plan fulfills the requirements that require sort of like an audit or evaluation. So it seems like the main reason why the system is behind this action is because they're trying to streamline the administration behind it. I do think the university should do a lot of a better job of communicating this to students, because I have international student friends who didn't know that the change was coming, but every student starting January 2026 will have to adhere to this requirement of Student Blue. So yeah, those are all my updates. Thank you.
All right, thank you, President Alvarez. Next is the report of the President of the Graduate and Professional Student Body, President Leah Frazier.
No.
Aren't you like a trained opera singer? Can't you just project?
Oh, you want to hear me sing? I can sing for y'all. Okay, so since Adolfo's is really, really long, I'm gonna make it short. Love you. If you want to have any extra questions, my office hours are on Wednesdays, and I'm always open to emailing. I email back pretty fast, if not in the same day. So about the Biostats international student tuition, most of you may have had concerns about that. Some Biostats students that were international had to pay the difference between in-state and out-of-state out of their own pockets. And with what you heard from the grad school was that the tuition remission fund that was supposed to cover that for them. International students were supposed to be protected by it, and that was not the case with Biostats, which is in the School of Public Health. And so what has happened is I've asked Dean Beth to talk to the Dean of Public Health to ask them about this, because there are no checks and balances about what happens when certain programs don't actually abide by the rules that the grad school sets. And so with that, my VP of Governmental Affairs and Advocacy will be working with me to create a system to where we can have better checks and balances when these things happen. Another example of this was when we gave the stipends talk at the last Board of Trustees meeting. We found out that one of the programs was not paying the minimum stipend for students. And they ended up finding that out at that meeting, and there's no checks and balances for that. So that's something that we are all talking about with the grad school coming up. About the international student insurance. So I've been in contact with Ken almost every single day about this. I finally got the Campus Health to create a website for this. So I'll send you the link. But also we're gonna send it out in our newsletter when the next one comes out. Speaking of the newsletter, Cicely did add everyone to it, so the entire grad school's in it. Sorry, Jaden. And so then next thing is about Beatty Hill. As you may know, that with the Vice Chancellor of Finance, he is currently making the budget for next year. So that whole thing that's going from the Board of Trustees to the Board of Governors. And so I was unable to get him and the Executive Director of Housing in the same room for this. And so I have a meeting set up with them next week. I wasn't able to get anything by this meeting, so sorry guys. It's just because their availability. Board of Trustees meeting is this week. I will be talking about AI and how students feel about AI. This is based on a survey that we took last December. I'm just showing the Board of Trustees these results and showing that most grad students do not feel that they have any guidance on how to properly use AI, considering that the chancellor wants us all to use AI in every single one of our programs. Yes, if you did not know, the chancellor is asking that every single program use AI. And so with this, there was some pushback from faculty about, why, and, sometimes it's impossible in certain programs, but he said that he will be making sure that all programs do it and that we all have to do it. So, yeah, so look on YouTube to see how I give that presentation, how that goes. Stipends update. Cool. So the dean of the grad school did ask all the deans for all their schools to include a stipend increase for the minimum stipend for that 2%. Like we said, it's not the goal that we wanted, but it's because that we have an interim provost and he couldn't ask for more. So this is like the max that they would allow him to ask. So when the new provost comes in, we are making sure that new provost will be giving us livable wages, considering we did talk with the Board of Trustees and the Board of Trustees was in favor of making us a competitive school. So in order for us to be competitive, we should have livable wages. So with that being said, that increase for certain students with that minimum stipend is going to the Board of Trustees this week, and then it should be going to the Board of Governors, and I'll keep you all updated on that process. With that, I see my time.
Thank you, President Frazier. All right, next up, the report of the Vice President of the Graduate and Professional Student Body. Is the Vice President here? Well, are you giving his report on his behalf? Oh, okay. The president gave his remarks and her remarks, so we're just going to skip past that. Report of the treasurer of the Graduate and Professional Student Body. All right. Are there any objections to it being given by the Chief of Staff? Seeing none, Chief of Staff.
Hey everybody. From the treasurer, he just has a few updates. He has that he's attended all of the committee meetings that he serves as ex officio for. He's meeting with QAB leaders to clarify what we need from them financially for future collaborations. And then just a bunch of stuff about, Carolina Union Advisory Board. Sorry. And then a bunch of reimbursement requests that he received were fulfilled. So yeah, that process is moving along. That's it for his.
All right. I'm going to add something for his. He did also place an organization under suspension because they owe us money at my recommendation. We'll talk about that later on during this meeting. Finally, a report of the Chief of Staff of the Graduate Professional Student Body. Go ahead.
Thank you. So mine's a few things. First, I want to talk about some hurdles that I've seen and I've heard from exec members, senators, and just graduate students at large. One of the biggest issues has been like student engagement with us and our resources. And that shows up in different ways, like from the surveys that we put out by our data collection and assessment director, which the surveys are important because that's how we present stuff to the board and trustees and how we actually do intentional, impactful like events and initiatives as well. And then that goes into event turnout to those events and initiatives, and that's either directly from us as exec or from the graduate school as well. And then another problem is even the event attendance of the public to the Senate meetings. And one cause of that could be lack of GPSG's like awareness is what I've heard pretty much. And many students don't know what GPSG is per se, but now that we have the director of communications, one of her main goals is to like bridge that gap. And that goes into the media date from her. That's Caitlin right there. So in the last 30 days alone, our Instagram has 31.2K new views, 570 interactions, and 31 new followers. And there is currently 1,315 followers on the Instagram and 1,438 followers on our X account. Those both are UNC GPSG on both sites. So if you guys use social media, I implore you to go follow it and interact with it, share it as you're scrolling. And then also, as Leah shared with the biweekly newsletter, if you guys want to put something out to the constituents that's due the Friday before every Monday that is due. So that our next one is going out this Monday. So if you have anything that you want to go out to everyone, We have it on our UNC GPSG website. It's like a get in touch form that you can fill out. Cool. So for bridging the gap, that'll be my main focus for like the rest of the semester this semester. I plan to do that by like reaching out to all of the schools' respectives, like student councils and student organizations that they have. Like example for Gillings School of Global Public Health, they have like 8 different organizations that serve as their like governing organizations of the school itself. So yeah, I'll also be tagging some senators in those emails just because it might be easier if they already know your faces and names to kind of bridge that gap as well. Also, when you guys have town halls, please include President Frazier, myself, and our Director of Community Engagement, Joshua Bream, on those like invitations, just so we can show up, support, and also listen in. And then finally, it's just the external appointments. Here I am again, begging. If y'all have the time, please sign up for the external appointment positions. These are the university-wide committees where graduate and professional students have the chance to represent our community and influence university decision-making. Since making the Instagram post and putting it in the newsletter, we've gotten a lot of slots filled. I think I have like 6 more that are like needing to be filled. Oh no, 4 more that are needing to be filled. The rest of them are just like we can double up and triple up on certain advisory boards and councils. So if you have the time, it's on our Instagram. Also in this newsletter coming up, there'll be an invitation for the Thanksgiving event put on by our Director of Community Engagement. What? Oh, yes, and there will be another application, well, the same application in the biweekly newsletter for the future of the GPSG committee. We need non-government voices to sign up for that. So if you guys have any friends or know any of your constituents who would be good for the committee, please recommend them. And yeah, thank you so much. Let's get through it.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Chief of Staff. Next up is the receipts of petitions and messages. There were no petitions or papers addressed to the Senate. Is there any senator at this time that would like to give a 3-minute speech to the Senate? Going once, going twice. All right, seeing none, we will move to public comment. Is there any member of the public wishing to give public comment? Going once, twice. Wonderful. Now moving on to special orders. Now I recognize that we probably will just skip these, but I do have to go through them anyway, but we don't have any additional senators who aren't assigned to committee, I don't believe. So first order of business is the election of members to the Senate Rules and Judiciary Committee because it is partially empty. Is there any senator that would like to nominate themselves to the Senate Rules and Judiciary Committee? Okay. Is there any senator that would like to table this matter until the next meeting? Wait, who was that? Oh, Senator Beck. All right. Senator Beck's made that motion. Senator Wren second. Any objections? No? All right, same thing. Election members to the Senate Oversight and Accountability Committee. Is there a motion to postpone? All right, Senator Wren motioned. Senator Beck seconded. Great. Okay, we have no unfinished business and no general orders, so we will move on to the first bill of the evening, which is 56008, a bill to authorize appropriations for Cycle 1 travel awards. Now, typically, we would have the chair of the committee that authored this bill present on it. However, given that the chair of summer governance is not a senator anymore, which is who this was passed by, is there a member of summer governance here who would like to present this bill? All right, Senator Wren. No, you can.
This bill 56-008 is a bill to authorize the appropriations for Cycle 1's travel awards. So for those of you who are not familiar with the travel awards, they go in cycles. You apply by a certain date if you have to travel by that date. And then we approve or do not approve you to get funding. this is broken up into sections of the year. This is the section of the year covering the summer. So these people have already traveled. They were reviewed over the summer by the Summer Governance Legislative Committee. We looked at these very carefully. We approved them all. We had quite a lot of applications. I don't remember the exact number, but I could probably dig that number up for you. These are the ones that passed. They all scored very highly. We think they are very highly qualified to receive our money. And they have also already traveled and spent money. So I would encourage you to consider that in your voting.
All right, thank you, Senator Wren. Is there any debate on this bill? Yes.
Senator Chapman from Physics and Astronomy. Just a point of information, how long are these cycles and how many are there per year?
Yes, I know this one cycle. Chair of Travel Awards, do you happen to know that information? If you don't, it's totally fine, but I wanted to ask.
Not confident in my answer,
Okay.
unfortunately. Sorry.
I am not confident in my answer either, but I will, Senator Beck, thank you.
Senator Beck for Pathology. That information is on the Travel Awards website, which has not only the dates to apply by, but also the rubric that the committee grades these applications on. So I highly recommend that you recommend to your constituents that they read said rubric because it gives them step-by-step what we look for. Additionally, each cycle is roughly the month. So this one was July through the beginning of August. Is it?
This one encompasses all of summer travel. So it's everything from June. Yes, June to, yeah. That information is also in the code. The code's not that fun to read, but you will also be able to find that there.
These people all do fall in the correct period. We checked that multiple times.
There is actually one thing about this bill is that, and this is something that's new this year, we have to include an encumbrance period on funds. That's just generally speaking, the length of time that funds are held, but like that these students can claim it before it expires and they can't. So there's a blank in this bill and we have to fill it. So at this time, I will take proposals for the length of the encumbrance period. As to how much time the students will have. I will say that there is one student, I believe, on here who is traveling until December 15th. It's a long time. So okay, hold on. At this time, are there any proposed days for the encumbrance period? Someone give me something. Yes, Senator Wren.
Can I propose 2 weeks? So 14 days?
From now?
I was going to ask also, is this encumbered from today?
Yes.
When we pass the bill until when?
It's encumbered from today until for that length of time.
And it would become unencumbered at the point at which they claim it or the point at which they're given it?
It would become unencumbered at the expiration of the period.
Okay. And if say they have already said, I will use this money, but the treasurer has not yet been able to reimburse it to them for some reason at the end of this period, does it become unencumbered?
If they submit their proper forms to get the reimbursement before the encumbrance period, then they will be reimbursed. However, if they fail to submit their forms on time, they will not be able to be reimbursed. Yes, Senator Beck.
Senator Beck for Pathology. Motion for 60 days.
All right. 60 days. Yes, Brian.
Brian Leckman, advisor. Back in 2022 and 21, when it used to be about a 2-month period, you all turned over about $30,000 at the end of the year because people weren't meeting that time frame. And so actually it became a big issue because you all were looking like you weren't spending the money, even though it was all allocated out, but it actually was not then returned in time by people doing it. So I just encourage y'all to consider that, given the historical context and how much, if you look at the history of how well travel awards have been spent, it's really gotten much better over the years as there's been a shorter amount of time between when they're notified and when they return from their travel, which is typically how it's been defined in the past.
Are there any further recommendations? Yes, Senator Beck.
Given that these people, most have already traveled over the summer, I still say 60 days. That might change for future bills in the future, but still suggest 60 days.
Okay. Are there any other suggestions? Seeing none, 60 days is adopted by unanimous consent, and that shall be set as the encumbrance period. We can now resume debate on this bill, or if there's no debate, I will put the question to a vote. Is there any debate? All right. Seeing no debate, we will now vote on this. We will do as per usual. We'll just do our hand raise vote. All right, all those in favor, please raise your hand. All right, you can go ahead and put your hands down. All those against, and all those abstaining. All right, by a unanimous vote, the appropriations for travel awards have passed. Next up is the appropriations for, one moment. All right, so next up is the bill to authorize appropriation of funds to student organizations for events occurring in November 2025. One thing I will say about this is that initially it did recommend funding for the International Graduate Student Organization at the Gillian School of Public Health. However, that organization is ineligible to receive funding because at my recommendation, the treasurer suspended their eligibility to receive funding because they owe the graduate and professional student funds and have not repaid them. So up until such time, and per our laws, they must do so before we can appropriate them additional funds. So at this time, that will be stricken from the bill, and we will be recalculating the numbers. Are there any questions regarding this? Okay. President Pro Tempore, would you mind if I had you, oh, I'm so sorry. Would you mind if I had you just recalculate these numbers based on the remaining appropriations? Oh, so this, it says like expenditure of total, blah, blah, blah. So it's crossed out, and this is also crossed out because we eliminated one of the orgs. We just have to like subtract 540.4 from them. Would you mind just doing those in the bills real quick?
In the bills. Oh,
Just in here, yeah. Oh, here. Actually, we'll just do it. Calculator.
oh, sorry, debit.
Robert Rampani, Physician Assistant Studies. Can I move to take a recess for 5 minutes while you guys figure that out?
Sure. Are there any, is there a second? Any objections? All right, seeing none, there will be a 5-minute recess.
Leah.
Hopefully it doesn't happen again, but in case you know. I mean, is it necessary that to strike it in front of the Senate?
Does anyone go to school in this building? Where's the vending machine?
No, okay, so I couldn't do it because there was a full committee, you couldn't do it because like.
So I can do it because.
No, but what I'm asking is like, could have you done it before or you can do it only now?
Yeah, I can only do it now publicly in front of.
Makes sense.
Tell us.
You can take the vote with your name. I'm super anal about Robert's rules. Sorry.
No, they took. I don't know.
Give it another 3.
Okay, another
Sorry,
3.
just want- Two.
Okay. All right, it has been 5 minutes, so I'm calling this meeting back to order. All right, see, it can be like, it sounds really mean if I really bang it. All right, so we've updated the numbers. The total expenditure is now $3,327.50. And that would leave $24,422.50 remaining in the budget. Is there, Actually, I will now be taking proposals to fill in the blank on this encumbrance period as well. Are there any recommendations for what the encumbrance period should be on this bill? Same as what we did for travel awards. Someone give me some recommendation.
Senator Mersman from Anthropology, point of information, are these also from summer governance or are these?
Oh, I completely skipped over introducing the bill. Yeah, I apologize. The chair.
They are
of these-
from 4 days ago, 5 days ago.
Yes, the chair of the Senate Organizational Awards Committee, would you mind introducing this bill for us?
Well, as I anticipated before, you can see there is by LGPSA a very minor award for a Thanksgiving lunch, especially given that it's a Latin association, so plenty of students away from home, maybe not familiar with the tradition, who could benefit from it. Then for the Women in Science promoting inclusion in a research experience, WINSPIRE, sounds cooler as an acronym, a pretty substantial $1,927 for, however, it's for fundraising. So we expect this to give them a lot of mileage and so that they won't need many awards going forward. And also it's a race, it's a fundraising race, so it's itself an event that involves the student body. Then the Institution of Transportation Engineers is doing basically just a networking event. So by their description and itemization is just a career fair. Again, that's what we are here for. And then the International City County Management Association is doing what is essentially a panel, a conference. And it's a once-a-year thing. It's been going on for decades. It's, again, part of the cultural life of the graduate school.
Right, thank you, Chair Sledeper. At this time, I will be taking proposals for filling in the blank on the encumbrance period for this bill. Senator Beck.
I propose 60 days as all of these are in the month of November.
Okay, any other proposals? Yes.
Can I also amend that they are required to submit the post-event funding report within 2 weeks of their event, which is tied to the reimbursement form. So therefore, technically, they should put the reimbursement form within the 2 weeks after their event. So 60 days is more than enough.
Great. Any other suggestions? Yes, Senator Wren.
Seeing as it's tied to a form that they have to submit within 2 weeks, why don't we just set it to 2 weeks? Or like 2 weeks and 1 day or something like that.
Yes, Senator Beck.
Because then going back to Brian's point of we do spend more money, I do want to acknowledge that we are coming up with holidays and finals and travel all around. So 60 days, I feel like is enough that they can get their money back. And if they don't submit the post-funding report within the 2 weeks, well, then they're not eligible for any more funding this year. But at least they got their money for this event.
All right. Did you want to enter 2 weeks or 2 weeks and 1 day? Right. Okay. Any other recommendations? Seeing none, it is adopted that the encumbrance period be 60 days. All right. Now, is there any debate on this bill? Yes, Senator Homeyer.
Senator Homeyer from Math. I believe could you scroll back up? I believe there is a typo in the numbers right here. Yeah, because out of the 25,750 minus the 33,2750, that should be 22,422.50.
Yes, thank you. Of course, the senator from Math. Let me just verify the exact number. What was it, did you say? Oh. Okay, there we go. Is that correct? Okay, thank you. We should always have a senator from math for that exact reason. All right, yes, Senator Wren.
As the senator from math has shared her expertise, as the senator from linguistics, I would
Oh,
like to say that
Lord.
it should be effect with an E in section 4.
Oh my God.
Section B. Okay. Okay. I will also tell you that spelling errors and grammar errors do not invalidate a piece of legislation, just so that we all, you know, the rules, yes. All right. Now, is there any debate on this or any further corrections or point of order or information or whatever they may be? Yes, Senator Rampani.
I move to call the question.
All right. Or is there? All right, awesome. Well, then we will again do it by raise of hands. All those in favor? Yeah, you can vote. All right, you can go ahead and lower your hands. All those against? And all those abstaining? All right, Champion. Yes, Senator Champion is abstaining. All right, with that, the vote is 25 and 2 abstaining, and the motion passes. All right, so that is both of the bills that were on the agenda for today. Is there any further new business?
Senator Holloway, I move to amend the agenda and discuss the confirmations of 9 individuals, please.
Okay, I will let you know that you do not have to amend the agenda in new business. You can just call each bill individually. So which bill would you like to consider first?
The recommendation for Matthew Zuniga for vice president.
All right, give us one moment. Oh, well, I don't want to forget. So let's just copy. And then we'll put abstain for me. Where am I? We'll forget. And then, okay, fair. We'll remember to delete the other people. All right, cool. So you are now introducing the resolution to confirm Matthew Zuniga. That's going to be painful because I have no idea which one is which. Let's see. All right, literally the last one I had. We're just going to share the whole screen, make things faster. All right, so now is the resolution to confirm Matthew Zuniga as the Vice President of the Graduate and Professional Student Body. I will comment that I have not had a chance to certify these resolutions because they're being brought to the floor today. So if there are no objections, we will vote on these, and then I will correct the bills for any clerical or spelling mistakes or errors. Yes. Of course, yes. Well, not currently, but after this meeting, yes, for sure. Okay, seeing no further comments or objections. We actually don't, by default, allow the people to speak on their own behalf. If that is something that we would like to do, someone can make a motion. Otherwise, we can debate this bill and or vote on it immediately. Senator Beck.
Samantha Beck from Pathology. Can the chair of ONA speak to why they're putting this recommendation forward?
So we conducted a couple of and we found that Matthew did have a lot of the necessary skills, brought a lot of expertise and a diverse background into this role. He has also been currently acting in his position right now and has been doing pretty great job at it as well.
Is there any further debate?
Ron Pani, Physician Assistant Studies. I move that we allow each candidate to speak for a total of 2 minutes to introduce themselves.
Right? Is there a second to that motion? Right? Are there any objections? Seeing none, we will allow the candidates to speak for 2 minutes on their qualifications. You have the floor, Acting Vice President.
So like like Maravi said, my name is Matthew Zuniga. Completed my undergrad at Texas Tech University, where I served as the vice president to the Black Student Association. And there we actually attended 3 different conferences on student government for the different Black student associations across the Big 12. Those were at Kansas State, Oklahoma State, and Iowa State. And so, as you may know, Texas has gone through a lot of changes legislatively as far as a lot of DEI policies and just anything regarding anything nature. And so I kind of spearheaded a lot of that for Texas Tech and Texas in general. And I kind of spoke to our best practices and our experience as a university in Texas. And we kind of helped a lot of the other student leaders in the Black student government to help replicate that in their own schools. And then here so far, I've been transitioning very well. I've been, rallying my group together as far as, hosting different meetings to make sure we're all on the same page. I've been working with some of our other members to work towards developing suggestions for AI policy here. And then I'm actually joining our president, Leah Frazier, for the ASG meeting at UNC Wilmington this weekend. So I've been putting a lot of time and effort into this so far, and I continue to put my best foot forward. So thank you.
Great, thank you, Matthew. Is there any, is there any debate on this question? Seeing no debate, I will now put the question. All those in favor of adopting the resolution to confirm Matthew Zuniga as the vice president, please raise your hand. All right, you may put them down. All those against? And all those abstaining? All right, by unanimous vote, Matthew Zuniga is now confirmed. Thank you. Oh, we actually do need to show this. Actually, we'll just do, are there any objections for us not showing the resolution since they all basically say the same thing and we can just, great, thank you. All right, Chair Holloway, you can go ahead. Chair Holloway, would you like to introduce your second nominee?
Yes, the Vice President for Diversity and Inclusion, Jordan Hawley.
Hi, everyone. My name is Jordan Hawley. I graduated from North Carolina A&T State University with a bachelor's in journalism, mass media productions. I have history being on the e-board for National Council of Negro Women, serving as the historian, controlling the social media, creating flyers, things of that nature. I'm majoring in video journalism here, so doing documentary work as of right now. Good writer, know how to put my best foot forward, and I want to try to make the transition from the HBCU life to the PWI, being more inclusive and trying to figure out things, what I can learn from there to provide here for these services. I also have a background doing an internship with Congresswoman Alma S. Adams. So developing her speeches, doing press work for her, going to campaign events and things of that nature. So I'm all about being inclusive and diversity and things of that. So.
All right, thank you for that. Is there any debate on this question? Right, seeing none, I will put the question. All those in favor of adopting the resolution? Right, please lower your hands. All those against? And all those abstaining? All right, by unanimous vote, the resolution is adopted. Cool. Chair Holloway, would you mind keeping track of the order in which you're introducing them in, if you're not already? Okay, thank you. Because I'm going to ask you for that later to fix the vote counts. All right, please introduce your next nominee.
I have Board of Elections, Cian Chen.
Okay. Are they present? Yes. Go ahead. You may speak for 2 minutes.
Chinese University of Hong Kong, Shenzhen, and now I am from the Department of Economics. And I'm really happy to hopefully join you in the Board of Election. And I feel I'm confident that I have the ability of cooperation with my teammates and also the ability on advertisement on like social media, so or anything else, like to make more people to vote for themselves and also vote for their own rights. So I have some experience on like economics club and also like as a leader of the economics club in my undergraduate, and I also have some experience on like dancing club and also like student English debate, etc. So like I want to say I really want to make the Board of Election be known for more people and also make more people join the voting and election. Yeah, that's all. Thank you.
All right, thank you for that. At this time, is there any debate? Yes, Senator Beck.
Am I allowed to ask questions of the candidate or no?
Was there any objection to senators asking questions of the candidate? No, you can go ahead.
Samantha Beck from Pathology. I just have one quick question about your, how much time do you have in your coursework, in your graduate assistant, whatever, and like other outside activities? How much free time do you have to put towards being on the Board of Elections?
Thank you for your question. So I'm now the first year PhD student in the econ department. So I mean, I have nothing out of my coursework. So I think I will like dedicate for 4 to 5 hours a week for this job. Yeah.
Are there any further questions or debate? Yes, Senator Wren.
Senator Wren, linguistics. So the Board of Elections benefits from having institutional knowledge passed from year to year. Do you intend, if you're confirmed in this position, would you hope to do it again next year and continue in this position?
Yes, I think so. Yeah.
Okay, are there any further questions or debate? Great, seeing none, I will put the question to the vote. All in favor of confirming the nominee to the Board of Elections, please raise your hand. All right, you can go ahead and lower them. All those against? And all those abstaining? All right, so Senator Sledeper abstained. Everyone else was a yes. Okay, the resolution is adopted and the nominee is confirmed. It is not necessary in parliamentary procedure to clap, but you can if you'd like. Chair Holloway, would you like to introduce your next nominee?
Yes, Board of Elections, Javon Hun.
Great, Javon, you are recognized.
Hey everyone, my name is Javon Hun. I am a video journalism graduate student here at UNC. I graduated from Georgia Southern University with a degree in bachelor's in broadcast journalism. And I look forward to joining the Board of Elections. Thank you.
Right. Are there any questions or debate on this? Yes, Senator Beck.
Samantha Beck from Pathology, same question. How much time do you have to dedicate to being on the Board of Elections?
Thank you for your question. I should have 10 hours dedicated to this position. Thank you.
Senator Wren.
Run linguistics, is that 10 hours a week, a month?
Sorry, yes, 10 hours a week.
10 hours in his entire lifetime. Today. Yes, Senator Wren.
And same question as I also asked the last candidate. This position benefits from having institutional knowledge transfer from year to year. Would you hope, if you were confirmed in this position, to do it again next year?
Yes, thank you.
All right. Are there any further debates or questions? All right, seeing none, I will now put the question. All in favor of adopting the resolution to confirm Jovan to the Board of Elections, raise your right hand. Okay, you can put them down. All those against, and all those abstaining. All right, then by unanimous vote, the resolution is adopted and Jovan is confirmed. I'm actually supposed to bang that every time, but it's a little exhausting going back and forth, but you know. All right, Chair Holloway, next nominee.
Director of Local Relations, Grant Alexander.
All right, you are recognized.
Everybody, my name is Grant Alexander. I'm a Master's of Public Policy student. It's an accelerated degree, so I just finished undergrad in May, and I've been at Carolina. This is like my 5th year here. I think what prepares me for this role is a number of engagements with student government undergrad, as well as with nonprofits through internship work. But chiefly, right now, I'm a planning ambassador for the town of Chapel Hill, and obviously planning is like a major function of local government. So I think this will help me prepare for engagements with local government workers, as well as community members in this role. And also, I'm preparing to begin an internship with the city of Durham, which I think will also have like really thorough ties to this role. And I'm just excited to help build skills in this capacity, because this is also the kind of work that I want to do in the future.
All right, thank you for that. At this time, are there any questions or debate? Yes, Senator Wren.
Wren, linguistics, I know from experience that accelerated degrees can cause unusual graduation deadlines. Would you be able to serve this full year up till May or whenever his term ends?
You don't graduate until August because we have a Maymester, so I'll be here through August, yeah.
Are there any further questions or debate? Seeing none, I will put the question to a vote. All those in favor of adopting the resolution? All right, you can lower your hands. All those against? And all those abstaining? All right, by unanimous vote, the resolution is adopted and the nominee is confirmed. It's fun. Someone's going to do it. All right, Chair Holloway, your next nominee.
Director of Community Engagement, Joshua Bream.
All right, Joshua, you are recognized. You have 2 minutes.
Hi, everyone. I'm currently an MPH student in the Global Health concentration. As a first year, I went to undergrad at Emory University, where I worked a lot in organizations in presidential roles and also event planning roles, whether it be for volunteering, philanthropy, or just otherwise financial fundraising. And so I feel like I have a lot to contribute to the community engagement role, just because I've worked with a lot of different organizations with different goals in previous years. In my role thus far, I've been acting in it for 3 months now, and I've already planned and started working on an event that you heard, I believe, at the last Senate meeting, the Tar Heel Thanksgiving, which is coming up, I think, in 2 weeks from now. And that's basically done. I just need to send out the sign-up sheet. And then I've also been working to a lesser extent with QAB, the Carolina Union Activities Board, the graduate school, and the Dean of Students and their department to plan further events, especially for the spring.
Great, thank you. At this time, are there any questions for the candidate or debate? Seeing none, I will put the question to a vote. All those in favor of confirming Joshua as Director of Community Engagement, raise your hands. Don't do that. All right, you can lower your hands. All those against? And all those abstaining? All right, by unanimous vote, the nominee is confirmed. Chair Holloway, was that your last one or is there more?
I have 3 more.
3 more? Okay. Go ahead and introduce your next nominee.
All right, Director of Communications, Caitlin Barker.
All right, Ms. Barker, you are recognized. You have 2 minutes.
Hi, my name is Caitlin Barker. I'm currently a master's student in educational technology here, and my undergrad was at Randolph-Macon College in elementary education. During my undergrad, I served in a lot of roles of like social media management and kind of like the same kind of director of communications role. And I am currently acting in that and working on our social media. Over the past 30 days, we've had over 30,000 views on our posts, which I believe is pretty strong, and hope to strengthen that with more engagement and just more outreach of what are the resources and events that we have to offer graduate students here. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for that. At this time, are there any questions for the nominee or any debate? All right, seeing none, I will put this to a vote. All those in favor of confirming the nominee for Director of Communications? All right, you may lower your hands. All those against? And all those abstaining? All right, by unanimous vote, Ms. Barker is confirmed. All right, your next nominee.
ASG nomination for Hannah Friedman.
All right, we do actually have a bill for this one, but I won't show it up. Ms. Friedman, you can go ahead and speak. You have 2 minutes.
The Department of Microbiology and Immunology. I was the recently confirmed Director of State and Federal Affairs. So in that position, I have a lot of experience collaborating with both politicians and then students. And then my role as a scientist, I'm also very well versed in collaboration with different institutions as well. So I feel like all of these collaboration and communication skills has set me up to be a good ASG representative.
All right, thank you for that, Hannah Friedman. Any questions or yes, Senator Wren?
Senator Wren, linguistics, what does ASG stand for?
Association of Student Governments. It's
Our representative to the larger body of the Association of Student Governments, correct? That we are affirming here?
there's 4 of us. One is the student body president, one is me, and then we each get a delegate to go with us. So this is my second person on behalf of the grad students.
Thank you.
Okay, that was a good question. Any further questions or debate? All right, seeing none, I will put this to a vote. All those in favor of adopting you guys are so eager. All those in favor of adopting the resolution to confirm the nominee? All right, you can lower your hands. All those against? And all those abstaining? All right, by unanimous vote, the nominee is confirmed. All right, and this is the last one, right? Okay. Awesome.
Last one. Student Supreme Court, Stormy Epley, please.
Okay, you are recognized. You may speak.
Everyone, can everybody hear me? All right. My name is William Epley, but I go by Stormy. I'm a current 1L student at the law school. I went to undergrad at UNC where I studied political science and English. I have prior experience in student government because I served in the undergraduate senate, on the Rules and Judiciary Committee, as well as the awards committee. And I think it would be the utmost honor to be able to serve on the Student Supreme Court because this university has given me a lot of opportunities. And I want to be able to help folks resolve their issues between one another and between bodies of the student government with the utmost dignity and equity that they require.
Great, thank you for that. At this time, are there any questions for the nominee or debate? Yes, Senator Beck.
Do you have enough time to, or how much time to have to devote to the Student Supreme Court And even more so than the Board of Elections, do you have like the flexibility that is required of these sometimes incredibly fast turnarounds for meetings of the Supreme Court?
Definitely do. Like, especially whenever it comes to extracurricular involvement. The only thing that I'm involved with really is merchandise committee and faculty selection committee for the Student Bar Association. So I don't really have a lot of involvement outside of school. And I like to treat school as much as I can like a 9 to 5 and sort of plan proactively around it. I definitely have a sufficient amount of time to sort of flexibly plan around the very fast-paced docket that the Supreme Court deals with. But also, I will note that sometimes like the amount of work differs just depending on the amount of cases that are brought before the Supreme Court. So I'm perfectly willing to cope with the workload.
All right, at this time, are there any further questions or debate? Seeing none, I will put this to a vote. All those in favor of adopting the resolution for this nominee to the Student Supreme Court? Okay, you can lower your hands. All those against? And all those abstaining? Right, by unanimous vote, the nominee is confirmed. I wish I could say that he would never see me as a plaintiff or defendant in the Supreme Court, but knowing the Supreme Court, I will be one at one point. So I look forward to seeing you there. All right, well then that is everything, right, Chair Holloway? Okay, wonderful. At this time, is there any other new business that anyone would want to introduce? Thank you. Okay, so then we will move on to notices and announcements. Really don't have any. I gave my updates to you all. If anyone is interested in working with me on some changes to the code, please let me know. Yeah, that is all. Can I have a motion to adjourn? Wonderful. Seeing no objections, we are now adjourned at 7:30 p.m. Whoa.
What is happening in joint governance council tomorrow? I didn't even, until Samson and Lenina